Okay, people. Today I want to kind of talk about what what the difference is between having a green thumb and having what some would call a brown thumb or a black thumb. Now, the first I held this up just in case if it selects my thumbnail. This because I'm gonna show you a well-grown plant and I'm gonna show you a very poor-grown plant. Now this here, it looks like a Dracaena because I just kept my poor eyes. I need to watch them. But anyways, um, it's called a flax lily, and I discovered that by accident. I was at a home and garden section, and I finally seen one of these where it had a tag. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Now I'm going to also show you my struggle plant. When I say struggle, look at this. This is pathetic. This is a supposed to be a bird's nest fern. Look at it. It's wilting. It's killing over. It's doing everything. Now, when you buy a plant, I'm going to say I believe that there's three main things that you need to keep in mind. The most important thing that you have to consider is what kind of plant do I truly have? Now, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong by mistake. I learned by observation and kind of googling and also YouTubing. And I'm old school. I do go to the library, but you basically have what could be known as a terrestrial plant or like a ground plant, and those are the plants that truly grow and they require soil of some kind. So it can either be like a just plain normal dirt. It can be more of a mossy type of situation. It can be a well draining, sandy, rocky, which is what a cactus mix would be. Or it can be like pebbles and stones, or just plain water. Now, if you have a terrestrial plant, they will require like a mixture of either the moss or plain normal dirt. Now, if you have what's known as, it's called an epiphytic plant, and those are plants that basically grow alongside of or in conjunction with like an established plant. For an example, would be like when you know how when you see palm trees and they have like the little fronds in them and the dips, and you'll look and you'll see like something else growing up out of it. That's what epiphytic means, and that would be like a fern, which is what I have over here. That's epiphytic. Pothos, they are, but they can also turn into like a ground dwelling species. What else? And every so often you'll actually see real life plants that are not epiphytic, but they will grow in an epiphytic manner because they'll lodge themselves into like the crack of cement, or they'll lodge themselves into the crack of, like I said, like a tree or a hollow of a tree, because you know that it collects like leaf litter falls into it, animal waste like birds, squirrels, and that turns into like not really a soil, but it turns into a growing medium because it's able to hold moisture and the plants can anchor themselves into them. Now, usually with an epiphytic plant, they really don't require a lot of water, and the water that they do get, because you got to think they're not in the dirt. It's like if you have a plant that you set right inside of here. When the water falls down on it, it hits it, it keeps going. It doesn't sit. So that's why they don't really require too much moisture. So if a person were to get that type of plant, for example, and they just put it in normal dirt and just water, 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 what do you think your mistake is? Your mistake is, number one, it doesn't really even need soil. So you could have probably put it in like orchid bark or cactus mix at minimum, and maybe put a little bit of moss in it just to be on the safe side to keep a little bit of moisture. But if it's in soil, that's why the roots are being destroyed. Now, speaking of that, this plant I actually did repotted. You notice it has orchid bark in it, and then of course you know me, I have cactus mix, and actually I did repot this. This came from the store. No, yes I did. I did repot it. You almost can't tell. Look at it's this plant is whack. Like it's ugh. Yeah. Um, and I did everything that I know to do. It's in orchid bark, you know, because like you say, fern, like I said, ferns are like epiphytic. They don't grow in soil. I mean, you will see them at the tail bottom of trees, but even then, it's not really in soil. It's like in leaf litter, in the bark that falls off the tree and starts um, decomposing, and that's what they form their root system in. Um, but what I was about to say is, sometimes you can do everything correct. This is so whack. Like it's torn. It's looks like it's evaporating, devaporating, keep evaporating. It's a mess. Sometimes you can still do everything that you know to do, but somewhere along the way, am making a mistake. I just don't know what it is. I do believe I had this improper proper growing medium, and I do believe I have it in the proper lighting situation. So I can't really figure out. This is the one plant I've had 3 of these so far, and I've had them up north where it's less light. I've had them in Florida where there's more light. I cannot figure dispersion that's far out to save my life. If someone said save it or die, I would just say go ahead and kill me because that's it. I can't figure it out. But what I just want to say real quick, the difference between having a green thumb and a brown thumb is you have to somewhat educate yourself. And like I say, the main 3 things that I only hit 2 of them, I believe. The most important thing is what kind of plant do I have? You have to know the answer to that. 2, what are the soil requirements? Because even if once you know what kind of plants you have, but if you put it in the wrong soil, you might as well not know what kind of plant it is, because even if you water it the way that they say to water it, the soil will keep the water in when it's supposed to be going out. Like this plant, for example. This is a flax lily, like I said earlier. And I've had this thing for a year and about 4 months, as long as I've lived at this apartment. And it's still in its original nursery pot. The only thing I do is every 2 to 3 days, well, maybe every week, I'll water it till it soaks through. And then I kind of spoil this plant. I take water and I hand drizzle it by hand, and it perks back up. I know it seems like I'm losing track of what I'm saying, but that's just the way how I talk and the way I tell stories. But okay, so once you know what it is, in this lily, I'm actually not sure. So you guys caught me. I kind of stumped my own self. But they can grow, I think, either type of way. Because I've seen lilies growing out the side of palm trees. I've seen them growing out of holes in the cement. That means it's epiphytic. I've also seen it planted in soil, which is a land terrestrial type of situation. So these can go either way. But okay, once you identify what it is, once you identify what the soil requirements, then it turns to watering. Most people say that the average person overwaters because plants typically maintain, not so much the plants, but the soil will maintain a certain amount of moisture naturally, for the most part. Not all soils, but 3 of the 4 that I named, like normal soil, the moss. It was something else I said. 3 of them will, and then 1 of them the water just goes through. So that's one reason you don't have to always water so heavy. And then also, some plants take it out of the air, especially if you have it like in your bathroom, or in my case, I have a lot of open-lidded aquariums, so that it probably absorbs a portion of that. And this is actually behind my 15-gallon in my living room, and it does excellent over there. I would never try it nowhere else. So identification, soil, water. And then the 4th thing is light. Some people say that there's no such thing as a low light plant. They say all plants really want highlight. I kind of disagree with that because, like I was mentioning, when you buy a plant, you have to ask yourself, where does it grow at in nature? So a plant like a fern, for example, you're not going to find a fern on the top of a tree. You're going to find it kind of mid-level, and then you'll find it, like I say, on the ground, like where the leaves fall, and like when the logs start rotting and they just fall on it, they'll start growing on that. And that's under, it would say this is the top layer, the ferns will be growing here, which is, so that means it's being shielded and shaded, and the light that it gets is filtered, so it's not a direct light. So any plant that you have, those are the, I said 3 things, but really 4 things. What type is it? What type of soil does it require? How much water? What kind of light? But I really don't think, now most plants really can't get too much light unless they have sensitive leaves, and those are usually like your philodendrons. Some of them are very sensitive to too much light, because I have a velvet leaf Mican or Macan philodendron. In my case, if I expose it to too much light, it'll start to kind of like crisp a little bit, and it'll start tilting down. So I keep mine typically, like the one I have that I'm rehabilitating, the one I've had for 3 years, and I talk about it in a lot of my videos. I tried it by this window, it not good. I moved it to my bathroom, and it's an eastern facing window, so it gets morning light, like 4 hours of the morning sun, which is like a filtered sun. It's not direct or bright, and it's taken off. So I know this, you guys know how I do on my channel. I'm not, oh, do this. I don't do it that way. But listen here, with plants, the difference between a green thumb and the black thumb and the brown thumb is you have to educate yourself first, and then also allow yourself room to make mistakes. You're not going to keep every last plant. I've had plants that I've just like this one here. I've done everything that they say you're supposed to do with that particular type. Can't figure it out. So you have to leave yourself room to expect a certain, unfortunately, that you're going to lose a certain amount of plants. Like when I first started, my biggest thing was I would just always repot it 10 seconds after I bought it. And really, I think that's not always so good either, because you're taking it from one environment to another one. That means it's getting different water, it's getting different light, it's getting possibly different air, because outside to inside. So it's an adjustment. So then here you go, taking the soil out, changing the water structure. That puts it into shock. That's like a human being. Now I'm adaptable. Like me, I've lived in the past 12 years. I've lived in over 12 different places because I'm an over-the-road driver. I'm adaptable. So if I was a plant, I can handle it. You could take me from here to here to here to here. But most people can't handle that. I've been all over. Syracuse, New York, Pittsburgh, Tampa, Orlando, Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland. I get around. I can handle it. But like I say, plants, they're more like a person who they kind of want to look around a little bit. They got to find out where the grocery stores is at and what side of town do I go to, what side don't I go to. They need that time to adjust. So when you get them, don't always be so fast to repot them immediately. Give it at least a week, 2 weeks, a month would be better. That's what I do with all my plants now. I wait a month, no more than a month, and then I'll repot it once it adjusts to the new setting. So I know this wasn't no structured video. None of my videos are. I just speak from the heart. But hopefully you guys have been able to glean some kind of knowledge from what I've said, or if not knowledge, maybe motivation or inspiration where you don't give up so easily. Because I know that some people who watch my channel, because I put it on my Facebook as well, they're not hobbyists like my YouTube friends are. people on Facebook are like rookies, and they might have, oh, I got a golden pothos, oh, I got a snake plant. Okay, that's good, but that's a start. But there's more out there than that. But you got to start somewhere as well. You got to walk before you crawl. Kind of like how my YouTube channel is. I am right now crawling, trying to walk. I'm not running yet. And but that's just life. You know, you got to give yourself that time to grow and get better. But this particular, I can tell you what's going to happen with this. When this video is over, because I could use this for another plant, I'm probably going to get rid of it. Because I've done everything I know to do. I mean, it does look like there's a couple new ones trying to come out. I might try to be patient. I doubt it. And then I got my survivor like this here. Only thing I do with it, like I say, is just water it inside every once a week, and I drizzle the water over it. And bamboo, like I said, I had this a year and 4 months, doing excellent. So you win some, you lose some, but don't give up and stay in the hobby. All right, thanks a lot.